everything is so crazy, and I know that we're all bombarded by very serious news, very challenging news, and very often very bad news, especially over the last few months. But as in the spirit of the conservation conversation, we always think about moving forward. And so today we're actually going to focus on the good news because we can make a difference. And I know I always talk about revolution through routine, how you can change the world without leaving your house. And it's working. We can put pressures on companies, both to change their products, to change the way they do business, and everything else that we need in order to preserve our access to clean water forever. So today, we're going to look at actually very positive stories, and I'm really excited. So I'm glad everybody is here today. And as I always say, it's our world. Let's talk about it. All right, here we are. I love this part. This is where we get all the comments on, and everybody gets to talk together. Bună seara, which means good evening in Romanian. And in Romania, there are amazing strides being taken to preserve the Carpathians. I think it's about 2/3 of the old growth forest in Europe at the moment. And Romania, there's a lot of people out there fighting, and it actually is due to IKEA. So, all kinds of fascinating stuff. And Andrea from Romania, hello, te pup, welcome, and it's good to see everybody here today. So, yeah, like I said, there's just so much going on in the world that everybody's just exposed to consistent bad news. But we have been fighting for a long time before everything got weird and wild. And internationally, and all the borders locked down and everything. Before all that happened, we've all been fighting for so long to get access to clean water and to make sure that we have that right and to actually clean up the water that we have access to, because as we've learned, that water is not as clean as it should be. So, what I wanted to do though today is again talk about just positive stuff. Hey Nikita, thanks for joining, and hey Doug, it's good to see you, man. So anyway, let's go ahead and just jump right in. Today, but as we're on pause for COVID, it's the perfect opportunity to reorganize our thoughts and our approach to move forward in a different way, because what we've been doing is obviously not working. So today's quote is from, of course, one of my favorite people, Jane Goodall, and she recently just said, "If we carry on with business as usual, we're going to destroy ourselves." And this is true in every aspect, and it's a little overwhelming, especially when you want to save the world, which most conservationists, environmentalists, most parents, most anybody on Earth wants to do. We kind of, want to pay that rent to the Earth that gives us so much and is such an incredible place. And some people are able to do it from their house, and some people are able to do it in the field. And Doug, I know Doug's kind of a bit of both. Doug works on ideas and also into being out in the field. And hey, it's nice to see you. It's great. I just saw now one of my friends from Cambodia joined us. Hey man, nice to see you up there today. Hey Colleen, another water warrior from Florida, and hey Camilla from the UK. Happy you could join us today. So. And by the way, next week we're going to talk a bunch about what's happening in Florida, because once again, it's a perfect example of sorry about that, everybody. There's my alarm to remind me to take my cancer medication, which I took before there. Another great example, take the medicine, blah, but then I get to have a wonderful time talking to everybody. So it's always, you got to go through the bad to the good. And that's the thing. Very often, people get too bogged down in bad news, but we have to remember that the very concept of health is based on sickness, in the sense, as Aristotle said, you don't know what it is to be healthy until you have been sick. So, we've let the world operate as is, and obviously it's not worked. So, we really need to make that change. Anyway, let's just jump right in. I'm excited to say, so one of the things that I'm really happy about, like I said, revolution through routine. You can change the world without leaving your house. Companies are the main polluters. We also have our fair share, but companies are the main polluters. And we need to ask them to change things. Now, the problem is companies and us have a different language. You know, the companies, and you can't blame them for this, their job is to make products, their job is to make money, and their job is to, you know, show an increase in profit when they meet their shareholders. So they only understand that language. If we come in and say, please stop killing the turtles, they just don't have ears for that kind of language. It's not, and it's not their responsibility to. But it is our responsibility to learn how to speak the same language as them. And one way we can do it is revolution through routine. Everything you buy in your house can affect the entire world. And that's not even an exaggeration. Your toilet paper, as we've talked about before, is actually killing off almost all of the forests way up north in Canada. Kirkland toilet paper, actually. And by the way, quick side note, if next time you go out to buy toilet paper, if you can buy recycled, say 7th generation, or if just don't buy anything that says soft. Anything that is soft included in the wording means it's made from virgin pulp, which means they need a brand new tree to make the toilet paper, which is why we're seeing so much deforestation. So something as simple as wiping your butt can change the entire world. It's amazing. I mean, look, but again, the companies need to know what we're saying, what we want. You know, they want to know. They want to know what we have to say. So we have a lot to say. And you know what? We got sick of always talking about plastics and problems. And a lot of people gave these petitions to Igloo. And Igloo responded. And they actually made a cooler called the Recool. And it's made from recycled tree pulp. And it's biodegradable and compostable. So compostable. And it's $10. Hey, Amy, thanks for joining us from DC over there. Amy does a lot of work with Fin Free and works on a lot of activist causes. So it's great to see everybody here. When am I going to be back to Cambodia? You know what? I am actually hoping to be back to Cambodia either the end of the year or maybe the beginning of next year. Let's see if everybody, if we can get these borders reopened. So, yeah. So I can't wait. But anyway, I'm very excited. So the first thing, look, summertime. You're going to go out, you're going to have some drinks with your friend, you're going to go to the beach. Just please go buy the Recool. You know, who really, like, you don't pass your Igloo down from generation to generation. It's not that important. Lots of times people have them sitting in their garages, and it's like the kid's job to go clean them out from the spiders. You know, it's just not necessary when you have this new option. So Igloo listened to us. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is it's a victory. We win. You know, we demanded a more sustainable approach, and they are offering it to us. So it's fantastic. You know, now we need to go up there and we need to show them that we appreciate it. And we need to, you know, be behind their offerings to make sure that they think it's more profitable to cater to our tastes and our desires of sustainability. We can do this. And this, like I said, the Igloo to me is a great one. Oh man, I miss you guys too. I got to say, yeah, Cambodia was one of the most incredible places I've ever been. The people there have such a warm spirit, and they're so passionate about conservation. It is really beautiful. Like, their hearts and souls go into defending the water and the land. And of course, there's a lot of difficulties there. There's an amazing documentary about the island that I was very privileged to spend some time on, called Kosse. And you guys can actually go to it. The Marine, I almost forgot the MCC. But you can go, Current Sea, CURRENT-SCA is the name of the documentary. You can Google it, check out the trailer. It is a beautiful documentary, and it's based on really the heart and spirit to fight and preserve nature. And it really takes brave souls to do that. And we know that, you know, from all around the world. So, and today we're talking about victories all around the world. So Cambodia is actually a wonderful example of that victory. And yes, thank you, Doug. Sometimes in my medicines, I do forget things, everybody. Marine Conservation Cambodia. Incredible. Marine Conservation Cambodia. Go check them out. I got to spend some time on that island helping them protect the local MPAs. And believe me when I tell you that it is 100% a model of what I think every NGO should be. And they're inventive. They're caring. They try to solve the problems for the local fishermen as well as conserve the MPAs. And so it's a dualistic approach that's very, very incredible. And we don't see it quite enough. And these guys are absolutely some of my absolute favorite conservationists around the world. And again, the movie's called Current Sea. Current Sea. Play on the words. Okay, but let's go back now to, so anyway, so we're talking about, we've got, that's actually one great victory in Cambodia. They have actually been able to push back a lot of these trawlers. I was hoping to get somebody from there on the show, but with the time, it can usually be very difficult, but I'm still working on it. Thank you, Doug. Put it up for us again so everybody can see Current Sea. And go check it out. Google it. Go to the website. It's outstanding from what I've seen so far, and it's really great. I got to speak to the director of it, and he has the same understanding of the place that I was lucky to see. So so here in the U.S. we have obviously a lot of battles. So like I wanted to say, the Igloo I think is one fantastic one. Now the next one is really impressive because this is a major company that doesn't usually listen to anybody. Now, this company, first of all, let's talk about tennis shoes. Okay, so tennis shoes are a worldwide problem, obviously. There was a study at MIT, which I think is fascinating. And that study showed that 25 billion shoes are purchased around the world. Imagine that. The majority of them are manufactured in China and other developing countries. Now, the researchers also found that more than 2/3 of the running shoes' carbon impact came from the manufacturing process, not the materials, which is very weird because you would think that generally the manufacturing process would be preserved. That would be an issue for, say, an extraction, where they're pulling out minerals. So this is very highly unusual for clothing. Usually clothing, the problem comes from what they're made out of. So these running shoes are creating an insane amount of carbon footprint and causing a lot of pollution to the places and the people that make them for the Western shoppers. A smaller percentage arising from acquiring or extracting raw materials. So I think that's just crazy. So the reason I bring that up is Nike decided they're going to help everybody, and they gave us the Space Hippie by Nike. Now, the Space Hippie is a step in the right direction, literally. It's 50% made out of recycled content. It's all cloth, it's all recycled plastic pieces, and they've actually reduced their carbon footprint in the manufacturing process. So it's actually a very holistic approach. They did it in both ways. They did material conservation and they did air pollution conservation. So I really think it's cool. I didn't really hear about them before. I know a lot of friends that collect sneakers, but there we go. Nike has listened. And again, this is what's important. We have to remember revolution through routine can work because we are so many people. And if we just buy what we think will help sustain the earth and we buy out of that, these companies do adapt. And it's really beautiful to see. And if you can get Igloo and Nike to listen to us, we can get a multitude of other businesses to listen to. This is the beginning of the change. Like all changes, it's sort of I think a balance, and you just take one piece of sand and you put it to the other side. Pete Seeger described it as that once. There's like a little pile of sand on the balance. You just take one piece and you move it over, and it's going to take forever, but eventually the other side's going to have all the pieces of sand, and that's when change happens. So we are in that process, and it's really cool to see. I mean, Nike, they've never listened to us. So Bruce Coleman, yes, vote with your dollar. Bruce, absolutely agree. Andrea had no idea about this. Yeah, I was really surprised. Super cool. And they do. They look really cool, like Andrea says. We can. So for everything, again, that's in your house, there's a worldwide consequence, right? If you buy your shoes, you didn't realize are creating tons of pollution in the air, and they're also creating tons of plastic pollution, tons of leftover rubber. Sometimes you're using animal hide, which I personally don't buy. Colleen says, my old footwear company used recycled scraps. Oh, that's so cool. From other footwear manufacturers to make our soles. Also, all of our uppers were made with natural and recyclable minerals like wood pulp waste and hemp. Oh, that is great. See, that is a beautiful, inventive approach. I love that. Colleen, is that company still in business? Can you give us a link or any companies that you know of that make shoes like that also will give us wonderful options? Because I personally probably could never afford a pair of Nikes. So, I tend to buy other types of shoes. But I'm always looking for something that's eco-conscious. It's very complicated, but lots of places are starting to do it. So, let's see. All right. Good night, Cambodia. Thank you. Thank you for being on, man. It's really nice to see you on here. And another water warrior from Cambodia. So, now aside from companies listening to what we have to say, amazingly enough, the judges are starting to listen to what everybody has to say. And this is really important because now we're going to talk about how policy can impact people on a larger scale, and getting people to change policy is really challenging because most of the time, the way things go is the way things are. Camilla says, or Andrea says, most of the time we have shoes we don't wear much. Exactly. That's a good point. So many people have 5-6 pairs and they just sit there. This is the solution would be perfect. Camilla says, try and stay away from fast fashion brands. Yeah, good point. There are so many, mostly teen clothing, often horrendous labor and environmental impacts. Absolutely. I agree 100%. And Camilla, you bring up a really good point, and I'd like to bring everybody's attention back to the app that I use called Buycott, Buycott. Instead of boycott, it's Buycott, and it's voting with your dollar, like Bruce says. And you go to there, and you can actually type in all the things that your ethics are desired with what you purchase. So, for example, child labor laws, child exploitations, people exploitation wages, fair wages. You can actually type those in and it'll come back and let you know if that UPC code meets those or not, because all of these companies do have to report these things and are recorded and have been intelligently put together by Buycott. My mind's always blown by those guys. Seriously. Colleen, we wicked hemp went out of business due to tariff wars, but you can find them at hempus.com. So that is awesome. Thanks, Colleen. I'm actually going to go and buy some of those because I need a new pair. And I'm always looking for shoes I like. I generally wear Sanooks because they're fair trade. But some of their materials can still be challenging for me. So hempus.com. Hempus.com. That sounds awesome. And I love that idea. So we can still have the things that we like and need, but we don't have to destroy the world around us with them. So a lot of, but again, as a unified voice, we can make a change. And this is what's beautiful about all these companies making changes. I even bought my first bamboo toothbrush. I had no choice. I had to buy it from Colgate, but I didn't know Colgate made them. And I'm really happy to see that they did. I personally wish I could have supported like more of a natural company, but I was in the grocery store. That's all we had. So I was able to at least get that. No more plastic, The Hempus sells all hemp-based, eco-friendly products. That's perfect, and I love that. Hemp is one of the most important. And actually, we should do a hemp show. I think that would be fantastic. Colleen, I'll talk to you more about that also. Because there's look at that. There are so many ways that we can, like I said, have the things that we need, but in a way that there's no harm comes from it. And you feel nice about that. You can really, at the end of the day that you didn't harm anything in just getting by day to day. So, now we've had, okay, awesome. Yeah. All right. It's on. I can't wait. Yeah. We're going to talk about that. I would love to do that. Because it's an important thing. And, I learned in Romania, it also used to be an open crop. And that crop was a very good crop for everybody out in the country. And they used it for clothing. They used it for everything. Incredible. And we all have to remember, too, that it was used as medicine here in the country and still is as CBD, which I take every day to help me with my spasms. And I love it. If you haven't tried CBD, let me know, and I'll get you like a discount way that you can check out the first one. I just personally recommend it. Like, it's one of the best things in the world, and it just naturally will help heal you. And it's really important. We're all out trying to heal the world, but we have to remember to heal ourselves too, because we're the ones out there, and the world is us. We're all tied together, and if we're all sick and running around sick, we're not going to be able to heal the world or change healing the world. Colleen says hemp is nature's miracle crop. Yes, over 100,000 uses and cleans the soil it grows in. See, it's perfect. And I heard rumors that it might be being allowed to be grown in Florida soon. And so, okay, so now, when we all, like I said, and it'd be great is if we could start to force all of our clothing companies to give us an option to give us an option that we can have hemp clothing. It'd be perfect. Now, one of the major victories, when we're talking about eco victories, we cannot go without talking about the Dakota Access Pipeline, where the judge recently ruled that they have to be shut down by August 5th. Now, I know this will get redone, but this is a massive victory because it came at the exact time as the victory for the Atlantic Coast Pipeline. I don't even know if everyone knows there was an Atlantic Coast Pipeline that was proposed, but it would have, right through there, cut through West Virginia, down through North Carolina, and then bled out to the areas that would lead out to the Chesapeake Bay and Atlantic Ocean. So Javier, good to see you here. Yes, so we had the two. So again, the Dakota Access, the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe. Congratulations, you all have been fighting for years. They have been tear gassed. They have been attacked. They have been assaulted. They've been killed to stand up for the land. And this is a massive victory. And victory was actually bought with blood. And hats off to everybody that was there. Hats off to everyone that could support them, because this is how things happen. And that's the passion that I find worldwide. I find this passion with everybody. We're reaching a critical time now where everybody understands the importance. And so Dakota Access, gone. Atlantic Coast Pipeline, gone. Keystone XL, gone. Beautiful thing about this is with the Keystone XL, they stopped their a very important permit they needed. Now, but what they did, though, to do this is the judge actually canceled what's called a Nationwide Permit 12, which was a concept to streamline and get everybody drilling. So the NWP 12 is a general permit under the Clean Water Act, and it acts as a loophole, and it allows excessive toxic authorized discharges. So that's a massive issue, and I bet a lot of people didn't even know that. There's like 15 pipelines going through, Now, the judge only stopped the Keystone XL in this particular moment, and several other pipelines have gone through, and we will hear more about them in time as the groups right now are forming to stop them. So again, I just want to say, Standing Rock Sioux Tribe, you are an inspiration. Amazing. You did it. And it was a hard-fought victory. It also came with the Atlantic Coast Pipeline that most people never heard of. That was stopped, luckily, by a judge, as well as the Keystone XL Pipeline, stopped by a judge, which I think is such a beautiful story. So let's see. Let's get everybody back here. And hey, yeah, massive victory, says Vicky. Absolutely. Hey, Dirk, nice to see you on here. Hey, Hannah, thanks for joining. So we're seeing now that people's voices can be heard. So we can be heard both economically, right, with what we buy. And that's how Igloo listened to it. Nike, you guys got Nike to listen to us. And that is incredible. I know everybody's been pressuring Coca-Cola to stop using plastics. They're one of the next ones we can get. But if we can get Nike, why can't we get Coca-Cola to change? This is an amazing victory. And I think, they're so rare in conservation and environmentalism. Most of the courts and laws are designed to keep these businesses rolling, but we are the ones that throw our bodies in the gears, and we have to make those changes sometimes. It just has to happen. And it's a very important time because we are now doing that as a group, as a world. We're speaking up, and the voice is being heard. And what's great is, hey, Paula, thanks for joining. Now the other thing is like we go back to the Jane Goodall quote that really started us off, which is if we carry on with business as usual, we're going to destroy ourselves. Now, that goes to the products we buy. It also goes to, what we were just talking about now, with changes in stopping these pipelines and stopping this exploitation of natural resources that will eventually end up poisoning us. And the third part of it are other countries trying really experimental things. So in South Korea, they've actually determined that by next year they want to have solar panels on all public buildings and 1 million homes, which I think is so cool. And what they've also done is they added this 20-mile stretch of solar panels on top of this. It's a bicycle path in the middle of the freeway. I know everyone in LA is like, what? I would never ride that bicycle path. But that's already there. You take an underground tunnel and you get to it, and then you ride the bicycle path. So what they did was they just topped it with solar panels. And they have a goal, like an idea, to generate 35% of all of their electricity completely from renewables and get rid of natural gas and fracking and all that horrible stuff. Get rid of the oil industry. Get rid of all those dinosaur things. And I think it's very forward thinking and very, very impressive. Then we have, amazingly enough, Air France. And this is all brand new news. So we have a wonderful week to celebrate. Air France announced on Thursday that it was joining Transavia, Malaysia, Airlines, Norwegian, Cebu Pacific, Fly Dubai, and Atlas Air in implementing Open Airlines SkyBreath system for its flights. Now, what the SkyBreath does is, hey, Hanno, thank you for joining. SkyBreath is an AI program that allows them to completely track the efficiency of every moment of the flight through the black box. Yeah, cool, huh? And this new partnership will help Air France slash their emission level by 50%, which is incredible. Now, some people might say, well, that's impossible, blah, 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 blah. Whatever, they're doing it. Everybody's trying to find a new way forward. Back to Jane Goodall. We have to find a new way forward. The way that we thought up until 5 months ago, it no longer is applicable to what we have going on in our world. It's a very, very crazy thing. So more things that I think are wonderful changes. Just this week also, another victory. Grizzly bears, finally. Now, they are an endangered species. And I found in Rome they have the same problem, where what they're trying to do is preserve them through hunting. And what they're saying is, we have a low number. You now have to pay us to come in and hunt. And this is the model they use in a lot of South Africa. And the problem is, with the grizzlies, we can stop this before they start that model. We don't need that model. But recently, they reversed the Endangered Species Act about the grizzly bears and allowed them to be hunted. Just this week, the judge reversed it. Yes, wonderful victory for the grizzlies here. So, and this was in Yellowstone, actually, where they were planning to go hunt these grizzlies. And they're endangered. I mean, this is not... I believe there's 2,000 left out of 50,000, and they live in very small, specific 6 areas up in the Northwest. In the grizzly, that's all that they have. In Romania has the largest population of grizzly bears, but also the most amount hunted. So they are also trying to find ways to find a peaceful resolution. And the environmental groups like Greenpeace are saying, please just protect them. And the government's trying to make money, saying, well, but if they hunted them and they were, then some money. So this is very often the problem with the Endangered Species Act, is that it, unintended consequence, puts a very high price tag on an animal. And if a government is corrupt enough to allow that animal to be imported, and I'm using the example right now of importing ivory and rhino horn, black rhino horn, into the United States, they are undermining, and they are then paying that price and saying that, yeah, your animal is worth more to us dead than alive. And it's not the thing that we're trying to teach everybody around the world. It should be the other way. Ecotourism should be the number one thing. That should be the way that we move forward. So complications right there, Anyway, one thing I did want to say is this isn't a new thing, but just as another example of how we are listened to, they are now making, instead of plastic, they are making beach toys from 100% recycled plastic materials, mostly milk containers. So I will, I will put that. I'll put that link on there for you guys if you want to go check it out. Anybody's got kids, you don't have to buy plastics to get them stuff to take to the beach. Another victory. Again, these are all victories. So the pipelines were a huge victory. Now, this one is the one that we've kind of been saving. The pangolin scale was removed from China's traditional medicine list. Now, the pangolin is the most smuggled animal in the world. And they are harmless. They're terrified. They're cute. They roll up. They're eaten. They're killed for Chinese medicine. They are the number one smuggled animal in the world because of this. They're taken from Africa. They're taken from other areas. And they are smuggled. A lot of times when either I was involved or other friends of mine were involved in stopping illegal fishing boats, very often they don't just illegally fish, but they transport and smuggle these pangolin from one country back to China, whatever the country is. So it's a worldwide problem. And by them being off the list is a huge step forward. So what happened was China published its Chinese medicine, basically like its encyclopedia of Chinese medicine. And for the first time, the pangolin was not listed. Now, as Doug says, by the way, unfortunately, I don't think there's any place to see currency online. Oh, no. I saw it when it was shown at Mountain Film Festival. All right. Well, you know what? I'll be watching out for currency. And when it does come out, everybody, I'll make sure to just put it out and put a link on it, even on my website, because I highly encourage everybody to watch this. It brings up great, because these guys are fighting illegal fishing and trawling, which sounds like a topic far away, but once we understand it, it's our topic as well. You know, the world is part of us. You know, we're not just in the U.S. So, Camilla, yeah, I love the cute babies. Exactly. I'm so happy that that the pangolin has finally found. This is one of the cutest pictures of the little pangolin too. I'm sure he looks like some sci-fi character. I can't think of it at the moment. But yeah, so this is just a lot of victories. And the reason that we're focused on that today is because we don't talk about victories enough, and we have to hold on to them. Doug says they show that event with the pirates that happened. We were there. That's so cool. I didn't know that, Doug. Yeah, Doug and I, we had quite an adventure when we were on that island. We had quite an adventure, and it led to police interference, and it was we were fighting on the water, and then they came back and brought the fight to the land, and everybody stood up like warriors, and it was just really amazing. I was ever so I'm just, to this day, it keeps me inspired, that kind of passion lives out there, And Tracy says, I love pangolins. Yeah, Tracy, I know. They're the cutest little things, and they are so harmless. They're so harmless, and they're so important. And thank goodness, I do think that, I think often Chinese medicine can be overly easily demonized. So I don't want to make it a cultural thing, but I do want to say they do have some recipes that obviously a lot of us would not be comfortable with. And the problem is it creates a demand. Like, for example, when I was in Cambodia, I went out for a night on a ship, and these guys were crab fishermen. And we went out on the ship, and it was crazy because we're out there in the middle of the night, and the ship is just flat, So we're all sleeping on the flat surface. And the trawlers are out, and they're like, these guys are worried because the trawlers try to hit them at night and bust their ships. A lot of people get killed out. And these are the poor people. These are the ones that maybe will get 50 cents a crab. Excuse me. Now, they found 3 seahorses that night, and they hung them in a noose and hung them to the side of the boat, where they were slowly dying, gasping to breathe, with a noose around their neck, each one individually tied up by a rubber band noose to add insult to injury. And we were so torn up, and and we were able to talk them into letting us buy them. But they said to us, listen, they're worth $5 a piece for Chinese medicine. So that's a direct example of how an unintended consequence can bleed into our lives and what is happening in our waters. And you can't, I mean, look, these guys are very broke. They're very poor. They're feeding their families. Poverty, I think, is one of the situations that we need to address if we are ever planning on cleaning up our planet or saving animals. Very often it's a result of poverty, and because only through that absolute poverty do you end up having that necessity, and you really cannot blame people that are surviving. And that's why holding companies accountable, I think, is a better approach, because they are the ones that have the money and the ability to change the things that are offered to us on everyday levels, and we can make it happen. And Erica says, thanks for speaking of the good things in life. Yeah, Erica, of course. I see you have a K in your name also. That's awesome. I don't see that very often. So, and again, everything, we have to remain positive, because you have to remember that we've been battling for changes, and we're seeing them. And this particular 2 weeks has been a huge blitz of wonderful news. So I know there's always things that can be a little hectic and crazy, but let's just remember that what we're doing is working. You're not going to see it on the news, and you're not going to really see it too often. You're probably not going to see any memes about it either, but it's working, and it's working. And we can see that because our options are changing. There's even things like avocado-made mattresses. Everything is changing over. So it's a perfect time and a wonderful time for us in this pause button we have right now on all of our societies to think about how we can move forward sustainably, without having to just continue this single-use consumer lifestyle that we started in the 50s. It's not that old. We think it's been around forever because we were born with it, but it's not that old. People in the 30s didn't have a single-use life. They were still farming and eating things and farm to table, and they were still concerned with their resources. What always blew me away when I was in the Asian countries, especially in Vietnam, was when you go to these markets and they bring, say, 10 pounds of corn. And I think to myself, how do they know that that's what they need? But they know because they feed their people, their community, their village, their area. They know how much people eat. And that's something beautiful about that's been lost in our food system. Our food system that broke down recently, and suddenly everyone's starving, and then there's all this other food like potatoes and stuff, and because the system's not working, nobody's able to eat, and it's just absurd. So we need to find new ways moving forward, I think. And today I hope was an inspiration for everybody, because it was real exciting for me to see that these changes can be made, are being made, and are well within our reach. And I'd love to know what's happening in everybody's areas as well. Because I know that everybody's fighting some kind of a thing here. Brett, so on point, brother. Thank you for positive perspective. Thank you, Brett. Appreciate that, man. Look, it's like I said, goes back to the Aristotle idea, right? You only know when it's healthy if you've been sick. So we've had a sick environment. We've had sick waterways. We've had a sick country. We've had a country embellished in all kinds of sicknesses, not including COVID, but thinking back on all the heart diseases and things that we have as a way of our being. It's to just take, and we're finding this new beautiful connection. And even if us old people aren't necessarily on board, it's okay, because the kids are seeing it, and the kids are doing it, and the kids are making the change, and they're starting to understand that we are all connected. And if we understand we're all connected, we understand we have one voice. And if we have one voice, we understand that voice is bigger than any company, even if it's a Fortune 500 company. It's just a company. It can change, and it can change, and it will change if we all put our dollars and speak the language of the company. Again, they don't have sympathy or empathy or anything. That's not their job. But we can find ways to show them that we'll buy stuff that we want to buy, not what they're forcing us to buy. So Camilla says, thank you, OAAs, for being bright spot in the landscape. Thank you, Camilla. It's a wonderful. I love, I really missed everybody. Not being for the last few weeks have been very difficult for me. And, I needed these stories as well. because, I've been going through a lot of very personal difficulties recently. And my big bright spot was knowing that I was going to come back and get to do the show. And then I started looking at all the stories and I thought, this is an incredible time we live in. And of course, it's a critical time, but that has such a beauty to it. We get to live when it counts, like not every generation gets to say that, not that every generation doesn't count, but the world, if the scientists are estimating that by 2050, we're going to be losing a lot of our access to clean and natural water, and privatized water. This is something that really I think we can really, work towards and change, because between now and then, us and the next generation and the next generation are the three generations that are going to be battling, whether it's at the local county commissioner's office meetings, or it is, on a bigger level, trying to change laws. Everything can be done. So I'm very excited. Next week, we are going to be talking about PFAS, which are forever chemicals. Now, forever chemicals are important because they're an international issue. And if you're thinking about Teflon, non-stick, and all that good stuff, that's exactly what we're talking about right now. We're talking about the leftovers of many, many industries that are polluting our waters and giving our children cancer and getting us sick. And we're going to have Stel Bailey back. A lot of you will remember when we got to talk to her on our Florida episode. We're going to have Stel Bailey back next week, and we are going to talk about PFAS, and we're going to talk about how to make a change in your government. And you know what? I'm so crazy. Before we go, I have to I really wanted to also hold on one second. I wanted to share with everybody something that I think is one of the most impressive things also of this year. And I want to bring it back to something that's local, because, a lot of times, we think on these, we think on these international levels, but we do have to remember that local levels is where we make our huge impact. And that's why I'm excited to talk to Stel, because we're going to talk about how Stel was able to bring the attention to the government level, and from there really start to affect change. So one thing I wanted to share with everybody is, again, congratulate all of my friends down in Florida who were able to get the shark finning bill passed. That's Wilson McCourtney. It's my friend Stephanie Brendel. That is everybody that worked down there together. You guys are amazing. You passed an incredible bill that everybody said you could not pass, and it's going to help protect the sharks all around the world. And it's a huge victory. It is a huge victory. We have many more battles to face. It's a huge war ahead of us, but it's okay, because as we have seen, it works. It works. We're here and it works, and they're listening to us. They have no choice. So we love that. Hey Dave, good to see you, man. And this is great. So anyway, I'm very excited to talk to you guys again next week and to bring Stel back. She is an amazing, amazing cancer survivor. And she and I have a lot in common about that. And, it's very important to both of us that we find ways to clean up our act in this country, literally. Clean up our water. Our water is a disaster. And I'm just going to throw it out there right now. No matter what distraction or what is happening at the moment or what is going on at the moment, we do have to remember that currently all inspections, all environmental protections are suspended, and all inspections are suspended indefinitely in the United States. So, what's in your water? You don't know, per se. But next week we're going to talk with Stel about what she found in the water and how she made a difference, because we can all do this. We can all do this. Doug Bender says, California, AB 3030, preserve 30% of the land by 2030. Oh, Doug, that sounds great. Thank you. Doug is very involved, by the way, in conservation, politics, and there's a lot of great things I can say about Doug. But one thing is, he's always actively fighting for a better future. And that's what's beautiful. Honestly, when I look at all the names and I see everybody here, I see nothing but a lot of warriors that are putting their everyday, even just your sanity, right, of having to deal with this stuff every day and think about it and take it upon yourself to fix it for children you don't even know that won't be born for another 50 years. You know, that also is the success story and is the beautiful story. And that is how we actually change the future. So just as much as we've changed the businesses, we've made our changes. We've personally made changes within our friends, within our neighbors. You know, every opportunity we have, we get to talk to them. You know, people, when they come in on negative stuff, it's a wonderful opportunity to, because they're there. Just open the door and say, yeah, but, you know, I know for a lot of people it sounds very idealistic, but remember, every time you run into somebody who's very negative or you have a conflict, it's a perfect opportunity and intersection to open a door for a conversation. And just like the title, the conservation conversation, you know, conversation is what we need right now. It's the only way we're going to bring the world back within our own reach. So yes, California AB 3030. I'm going to go Google that right now. I will put the link up as well. Thank you for that, Doug. I appreciate that. See, and that's the beauty. There's always something to learn, and there's always something local that's going on that you're able to get involved. And no matter what, your neighborhood, I guarantee, no matter where you live, it is, oh, there's Vic style, or punch them in the throat. No matter where you live, your water is being exploited legally. And you don't have to work so much on figuring out who the bad guy is, but what you have to work on is figuring out how to close the loophole that's causing the chemical damage to your tap water. You know? Yeah, Vic, or punch them in the throat. Vic, I want to have you on too, because, yeah, Vic does a lot. He's got a lot of energy, and he's just out there always fighting for a better tomorrow. Vic's kind of a, you know, more of like a frontline, like karate guy. He's ready, you know. Vic's ready to throw down if necessary. You know, so that's why I love talking to him all the time. But his passion is unrivaled, and I know Vic, you know, because of your son, and you really brought into focus the future. And I know that you are working on tons of projects right now, and I love that. And yeah, exactly. Vic's trying to stay low profile. Doug says, pass Assembly and Senate. If you live in California, call your state senator. That's fantastic. Okay, thanks, Doug. I'll definitely put that out if in any way, and I'm going to call them as soon as I get off the show, actually. You know, now, oh, and that reminds me too, I did want to say, everybody, I'm very excited. Look, next week, there's a lot of very fascinating, you know, when you travel, you get to see this wonderful mirror to your own culture and to your own approach to life. And when I was ever working on my anti-logging project in Romania, I got to be exposed to a lot of aspects to the culture there. So I've made some conservation conversation projects, and I'm going to be airing them next week. I'm very excited. I hope you guys like them. They may just sound like nonsense. A lot of them were done with jet lag, but I found aspects of their culture taught me a lot about my own, and even offer new solutions. And that's the thing, is when you look at other cultures, you learn new solutions. Look at Air France and their approach. It's fantastic. We haven't joined it yet, but maybe we can. You know, look at Seoul. I mean, South Korea's approach is beautiful. We haven't got there yet. Maybe we can. You know, there are interesting approaches internationally with different minds, different ideas approaching everything. And I think that there's some really good things we can come out of there. You know, and oh, I also wanted to mention to you guys real fast, we're going to head out. I'm excited to announce that I've been doing some more work with the guys at Peace Vision. And I've talked to them about a couple more topics. And I'm actually working with them right now on a project that you guys will all see pretty soon, actually. As well as a couple more podcasts. And I'm really excited because I get to do environmental reporting for them. So, but you know what? It's sunny out there. The lockdown is lifting for us. And next week, we're going to be in Romania. And then Friday, we'll talk to Stel. The week after, we are going to be just out live and doing live episodes from the field, talking about different topics. And then special guest coming up after that week as well. So I can't wait to catch up with you guys more. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Remember, even though it's not going to be picked up by your news channel, there's nothing but good news in the eco world right now. And everything that's bad news is just an opportunity for us to brag about having some good news down the future. So we can do it. We've done it. There's no question in our minds. So I love it, and I love being part of this team with everybody. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. As always, just my favorite part of the day. So thanks for being back. And like I said, if you run into a conflict with somebody, remember it's a wonderful opening to walk into a conversation. So anyway, you guys all take care, and I will see you all next week. Have a wonderful Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. Find some peace. Find some happiness. Center yourselves, enjoy, and just, remember, like I said, we've got many battles ahead, but it's okay because we have many victories under our belt. All right, it's our world. Let's talk about it. Thanks, everybody. See you soon. So we are starting our streaming, and let's see. We're just going to wait for everybody to hop on here, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, here we go. And we should be on. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday afternoon. Let's see. Let's make sure we're up and running here. Very exciting show today, and I can't wait to get right into it. So let's just... Here we go. What do we have? Hey, Coralie. Good to see you here today. And Coralie, how is your garden growing? I'm always amazed by that. Oh, let me turn that sound off. Hey, I see Stel's there. Andrea. Hey, Andrea. Thanks for tuning in. And Stel and Coralie, everybody else. All right, everybody. So today we have a very, very exciting show. Today we're going to have Stel Bailey from fightforzero.org, and we're going to be talking about something very important that affects everybody, which is the water that we drink. So, I wonder if everybody's, yes. Oh, great. Fantastic. Hey there. It's nice to see you. Thank you for being on with us today. You know what? The Weekend is another wonderful bipartisan group, just like Fight for Zero, that fights for cleaner water. So I wanted to start off today. Oh, hey, Mom. I see my mom's on as well. I just wanted to share this with everybody because we're going to be talking about water quality and how it affects our health. And, 1 o'clock every day is the time when I have to take this pill, which is a medicine that helps me fight my cancer. And every day I take it at 1 o'clock. And the reason that I bring it up is because my cancer is an environmental cancer that they're just not quite sure how to treat it. And as a result, I find myself in a world of these hybrid cancers that we're finding that are brand new all the time. But one thing we can always bring it back to is water quality. So if you're not familiar with PFAS and other forms of water contamination, today is the show for you. So I'm going to start this off. And let's go ahead and start our show. As we always say, it is our world. Let's talk about it. All right, welcome back. Oh, there was a typo. Look, it's actually episode 31. So, hey, Sherry, thanks for tuning in today. It's nice to see you. And Vicky, glad to be with you there. Glad to have you with us today. It's always nice to see you on here. Today is, once again, we're going to be talking to activists. Sorry, that's my alarm there to take my pill, which I did. I was dutiful. Everybody saw it. But what we're going to be talking about today is not only just a Florida topic, but this is a topic where Florida is a great example of the issues that are faced by every town pretty much in America. And the problem that we have right now is that the companies are allowed to put whatever pollution they want into the waterways, which can create all kinds of chronic illnesses. So our guest today, Stel Bailey, is somebody that actually survived cancer and turned that around and found a way to change the future by helping us understand our illnesses and our environment around us. But today I wanted to start with our quote of the day. The quote is, civilization has been a permanent dialogue between human beings and water. And that's from Paulo Ligari, the founder of Los Gaviotas, Colombia, which is a self-sustaining eco-village. And it's something that was started a while back and actually is still up and running. I believe it started in 2014 or 2015. Not 100% sure. But It's very true. Our ability to survive is an ongoing dialogue between us and the water around us. And recently, that's become very problematic because the water around us has become very poisoned, as we're going to talk about. But to start off, I just want to show there's a huge rise and increase in cancer rates around the world. In 2012, there was around 14.1 million cases and around 8 million deaths. In 2018, just 6 years later, there's an additional 4 million new cases that have popped up, bringing it to 18.1 million. And there's close to 10 million deaths. And the other thing that isn't usually accounted for is the people like myself that have to just live with cancer. And there's 43.8 million of us that are in what's called the 5-year prevalence, which are still alive within 5 years of a diagnosis. So that's one way to look at it. Now, the problem is that our tap water is contaminated. And in the U.S., they have found a direct link to over 100,000 cases recently. So even in over here in California, we find widespread PFAS, forever chemicals. And before we bring in our guest today and talk about PFAS, what I wanted to do is just give you guys a basic of it. Oh, hey, Mitch, thanks for being on. Mitch is another, like I said, another bipartisan water warrior that knows the solution is with all of us working together in unification. So what I wanted to do is real quick talk about PFAS. Now, what is PFAS? Well, PFAS are what are called forever chemicals. Now, once they're released in the environment or your body, they don't go anywhere. They stay there forever. So in recent testing, they were found in the blood of every U.S. resident. And I believe it was worldwide as well. Now, these PFAS are also included in tons of everyday products, including non-stick cookware, grease-proof food packaging, personal care, stain and water-resistant clothing, carpets, furniture. They've kind of, a lot of them came from the DuPont non-stick and also from the Scotch Guard, the water-resistant Scotch Guard. And there are tons of them all over, and we will include a few more, but here's a few from the Fight for Zero website themselves that I wanted to share with you guys. Now, the problem is that the EPA have decided that they are not going to regulate these. Now, they've already walked away from regulating the corporations, and they've removed the Clean Water Act, which means that corporations are allowed to bring in anything they want right now. So the EPA just recently said they're not going to regulate a compound that is already known to cause fetal brain damage. And unfortunately, this chemical is a toxic chemical that has been found in rocket fuel and contaminates water and has been linked to fetal and infant brain damage. So the problem is that a lot of times we are finding that these companies are poisoning us in multiple ways. They're poisoning us through the water, through the land, and through the air. So there's a lot of issues. But like I said, today we're going to talk to Stel Bailey over in Florida. And if you're not familiar with fightforzero.org, I'm going to bring up their website right now because they do an amazing job in keeping track of everything that is going on all around the country, and especially in Florida. And I don't want to talk too much about them because they're going to be on here. But one thing that they have always been very important, they advocate for change, they advocate for education, and what they want to do is find ways that everybody can make a difference. So it's a very important and an inclusive way of bringing everybody together to fight one common enemy. And that's what's really important. You know, Florida is a very politically passionate state, but the solutions are nonpartisan. And, Mitch Allen is a big promoter of that. And I'm a big fan of that myself, and as well as Stel. We need everybody to get together because we all have the same things in common, which is water, whether it's physically or, if you think about it, we're all connected through rivers, bodies of water, and we all drink water, so we are all the same in that way, that we need that. And buenos aires, Elena, it's nice to see you. And all right, so what I'm going to do real fast is I just wanted to show you all In 1 second, I'm going to bring Stel in, and then we are going to talk to her really quickly about what we can do both in Florida and all around the country to change the water situation as we know it today. So let's see. Let me go ahead and bring Stel in here. Hey, Stel, can you hear me? Okay, 1 second, 1 second. All right. You know, it's not necessarily what you'd call live, but here we go. It is. It's not live TV, but it's always live internet, and there's always a live chance to have a problem. Can you hear me now, Stella? Yes, there you are. All right. Here we go. So, yeah, there you are. Nice, very nice. Thank you for being on today. Okay, so Stell, here, wait, let me scoot myself better into here. All right, so I think we're having a little bit of a connection problem. Let's just give it a second to buffer through here. I'm having a bit of a hard time actually hearing you. Hey, Cody, thanks for joining today. Hello, Ludovic, thanks for joining. Hey, Sierra's on. Nice to see you on, Sierra. And Mila, nice to see you on as well. And let's see now. Are we... Okay. All right. Here we go, Stell. Are you able to hear me okay? Okay, fantastic. There we go. Yes, we are now together. All right, here we go. So, what we're talking about today is in how the environment and our health are interconnected, and how we can, what's missing, and how can we make a difference to the future, to both us and our children coming up. So what I'd like to do is, just in case people aren't aware of your story, if you could tell us how you got started to begin with in water activism. Jeez. Oh my gosh, you know what, Stell, Eric, we still can't hear Stell. We seem to be having a technical difficulty where the audience is not able to hear you right now. I can hear you. Is everybody over there, can anybody hear Stell now? No sound, said Cody. Oh, jeez. If you guys can hear me, I'll tell you we had a few technical difficulties before we started this conversation, and I am super disappointed that right now we seem to be having a problem getting it through to everybody. Let's try. Is there a chance that? All right, everybody, we're going to try a new test and see if we cannot get Stel's sound out for everybody. Okay, Stel, go ahead and sound. Okay, Gina, you can hear us. Stel, are you able to go ahead and count to three again for us? All right, there we go. That's it. No, said Mitch Allen. Gina said all okay. Let's see. I I believe so. Yes, I believe that's. Let's see. Oh, Andrea says cannot hear Stel. Gina can. Oh no, this. Oh, Stel, I am. Ah, we can hear you, but not Stel. Oh, geez. Well, this is. Stel, I. Oh my gosh, I'm so. Oh my gosh. This is how, well, there you go. When you do a live show, you just never know what the cards are going to throw you. Everyone says they still cannot hear you. Stell, having you on is actually the most important part of the show today. And everybody, I can't even tell you how disappointed I am because Stell, I even made sure that we had her on earlier today because there's so much ground we wanted to cover. So Vic says plug in headphones. Vic, can you hear Stell? Sound back, but not Stell. Gina, we're patient. Yeah, you're getting to see the behind the scenes of oh my gosh. Stell, use your earbuds. Everybody wants you to use your earbuds. I don't know. Oh, we don't have. She said they don't have earbuds. Okay. Well, my goodness, Skype, what have you done to us? What have you done? How do we do this? We are all patient. Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. I can hear you, and I do not know why. I don't know why this is not allowing you to patch through. Let's see. Well, I was hoping everybody would get to start to hear her, but it appears that we're having some technical difficulties today. So, Vic wants the old. Have you tried turning it off and on again? IT crowd style solution there. So, well, you know what, everybody? We're going to have to find a new solution. I think maybe what we'll do, Stel, is find a Zoom call that we can work our way around this. Now, Stel has not that much free time, and she carved a bunch of time out today for us. So, Stel, I really do apologize for this technical difficulty today. And yeah, Sherry says log off and log back on should fix. So you know what we'll do is we'll say goodbye to Stel for now. And Stel, if you want, maybe try to restart it, call us, and we'll see if anybody can hear us. And if not, then what we'll do is I'll just talk a little bit more about things, but then we will reschedule so that we can really talk to Stel. And what I'm thinking is maybe we can have a big Zoom call, and maybe we can actually even see everybody, in the audience with us. So we'll find a good solution to this, everybody. Well, Stel, thank you for taking the time and calling in, and I can hear you, but nobody else can, and you know, yeah, I mean, I would say don't even worry about it. We'll figure out a way. Yeah, you. Why don't we figure out another? I feel bad. I know you're very busy, and there's a lot to do. I'm going to brag about you a little bit to everybody, so they know who you are, and then we're going to reschedule a new time for it. So, all right. Thanks for being on, Sal. Bye bye. All right. Well, here we go, everybody. Well, that was, well, we will have to find a way around that. Yeah, it just happens sometimes. You never quite know where things are going to go from here. So, well, and that. So anyway, we will find a new time. It is disappointing to not be able to talk to Stel today. Stel, for me, is very inspirational, because I know you guys weren't able to hear her, and we're going to talk more to her, and we will hear her story first person. But Stel, her entire family suddenly had been diagnosed to everybody getting different types of cancers when they hadn't had them previously. And Stel herself is a cancer survivor. And what she found was that the state did not seem to be collecting the information. And so if you go to fightforzero.org, what you'll find is what they've done is basically she has decided, hey, we're going to go out, we're going to water test, and we're going to start to ask people to send us their information on what is, what their diagnoses are. So, for example, right now you can see this is in one of the Fight for Zero maps. And this is maps of PFAS that have been determined by multiple cases. And you can go to fightforzero.org, and I'll type it out for everybody here. Fightforzero.org. So there we go. That one should hopefully go out there. And now, so they've done... Here we go. Okay, so Fight for Zero. So what they started to do is, they started to test, and then, for example, this map here on the Fight for Zero page is actually the cancers and the highest cancer clusters all around. And this is the thing, is that doctors have stopped connecting environmental cause and cancer. So what Stel's doing and what everyone at Fight for Zero is doing is very important work, because they're picking up where the government is failing us. See, right on here, you can go and you can report your cancer diagnosis, and they map them out, and then that's where we're able to get an idea of these various cancer clusters that are around the state. And their modeling has actually been so impressive that they have, I think, done a lot for a lot of other companies and a lot of other organizations, and they've linked up with other organizations. But there we go. And there's Stel, as you can see, and some of the other founders with Aaron Brockovich and some other people that that Stel has worked with some outreach on to try to make changes. Now, I just want you guys to know, this is from their website. Some of the issues that Fight for Zero works on is awareness, by trying to make people understand what a zero waste type of lifestyle is. The water quality in the drinking water that we've all learned recently contains PFAS. Environmental justice. And environmental justice is a big one, because not a lot of people get recourse after being made sick by corporate polluters. They also fight against pollution, and they're very innovative. Stel, when we have her back on, we'll talk more about it, but she actually works on programs to educate not only the public, but legislators, so that when next time a bill rolls around, they're able to have more information to choose from and understand. And they also are very interested in health. They're trying to connect pollution and health so we can understand, by looking at cancer clusters, what dangers we face to avoid them in the future. And of course, toxic chemicals, which, as we know, are everywhere, because we now have all seen that around the world. They did a study recently. There's so much microplastic in our waters that they estimate everybody eats one credit card a week worth of microplastics. Isn't that crazy? So, we're being poisoned every day. Currently, the EPA is left. Now, Mitch says the FDEP does nothing about companies pollute. And that's a good point, Mitch. The Federal Department of Environmental Protection seems to kind of do anything but. They appear to basically just make sure that companies get their permits. And in Florida, they're fighting a lot of front lines. They are fighting runoff from the mining industry. They're fighting runoff from the agricultural industry, from excessive fertilizer use, from big sugar use, and all the discharges of Lake Okeechobee, They have so many different areas, and meanwhile, they're not being protected. And actually, none of us are. And that's why Florida is a wonderful example, because I was hoping we were going to have Stel on so that we could really discuss fighting back and environmental fight. But one thing about Florida that is beautiful is that they have the most passionate activists. That's why I'm disappointed I could speak to Stel today. But they're also another example because all of us run through the process of what I call the cancer of the body politic. Cancer in Florida is the leading cause of death. I think the leading cause of death is cancer of the body politic, where these institutions and these checks and balances that were designed to have an effect of making sure that nobody else sold anybody out have all been sold out. And now the very cells and the very people that were supposed to defend have been eaten by the cancer and have now become tumors themselves. So, Corley says, yeah, rollback policies won't help. I agree. Corley, right now is not the time for the EPA to step down. Andrew Wheeler, the head of the EPA, he's an environmental nightmare. He keeps leaving more and more things unprotected. And the problem is that every company, for example, like the mining industry and like the sugar industry, they were being monitored and being held for a while responsible, but now they're not even being checked out upon. And before, I mean, these are companies that were actually just regulating themselves, which is another reason there's so many environmental issues. So self-regulation is not really something that mixes well with these kind of companies that have to walk that fine line. Like, these companies are necessary. This is where it becomes difficult, I think. And please disagree with me if you think otherwise. But when they're extracting phosphate, it's a necessary mineral for the world. When they're making sugar, I don't personally eat sugar, but it's considered a necessary thing. The question is, how do you get them to properly do what they're going to do without making everybody around them sick? Florida itself has a higher cancer rate than the majority of the nation. So, where we find these unregulated, crazy, just free-for-alls with these companies. Now, one of the things, just as a background, that happened was when Rick Scott was in office, aside from removing tons of money for protection, one thing he did was streamline the process of getting a permit from anywhere from 30 days to maybe 6 months down to 2 weeks, sometimes 4 days. So this streamlined process involves basically just filling out a little bit of paperwork, paying a fee, and then saying, yeah, we're fine. We'll just regulate ourselves. So it's a very bad method. And unfortunately, a lot of my friends in Florida are paying the price for it right now. Sherry says, we're all in this together. Totally agree. Mitch says, we documented illegal dumping of HDD drilling slurry, which is the 3rd-degree felony, but the FDP would not press charges or make an arrest. That's crazy, Mitch. It's not surprising, but that is really crazy that even when the citizens are coming up with actual proof, they're still not doing anything about it. All happening on a county project, and the county just turned a blind eye. As Sherry says, it is all about money, and it's very problematic because there need to be independent checks and balances, people that aren't on the take right there, that can help us stop these types of corruption. The cancer of the body politic, See, county said they were not responsible for their own contractors. There seems to be a lot of that down there. There's also, with the amount of pesticides being dumped in Florida, and that's just its own crazy issue down there as well. It really, there's like a mass poisoning. And again, it's the problem is that it's a Florida problem. It's also a United States problem, and it's also a worldwide problem. We are all allowing these companies to dump poison into our waterways every day, and they're dumping them into the rivers, they're dumping them into lakes, they're dumping them into ponds, they're dumping them anywhere they want because they're not being watched, and they do not have to regulate. For example, Mosaic, that dumps out all of the byproduct of mining, that includes things like barium radiation, it includes arsenic, all the stuff that, give you cancer, that are known to give you cancer. They only have to test for their pH. So when they return water to the river, as long as the pH is clear, they're legally off the hook. And they can literally put anything else they want into the water. So once again, this brings us back to the cancer of the body politic, which is the biggest problem that we all face in every one of our counties, every one of our states, and every one of our countries. And again, with those rising cancer rates overall around the world every year, rising and rising, we need to find if there's any way we can stem cancers from continuing in this path and in this progress. We have to stop them. So I think, there's no instant answer and there's no easy answer, but there are some solutions, and that's the important thing. Stel was going to give us some of the solutions today. Again, we are going to reschedule with her. I'm really disappointed. She's honestly one of my inspirations. The way that she gets her work done is incredible and effective, and a very powerful activist. And so one of the things I wanted to do on the show is ask her how we can all become effective activists and how we can all fight back. We're going to talk more about that. But the thing about it is that all of us have local issues that we can connect with our local people on and fighting back. And we're a team. We're all one big team together. So we can do this. Us as a unified force always are able to change the will of those that are polluting our areas. Yeah, Sherry, I've heard the spraying is just out of control. Mitch just put up a video, of the HDD drilling slurry. Thanks, Mitch. I want to check that out. We should definitely be looking more into that. And once again, the FDEP, the people that Mitch is bringing it to, are the people that are supposed to go out and give fines, but they are not the people. They're not doing that. They're simply saying that the citizens don't understand what they're talking about. And I've seen that in county commissioner meetings all over Florida, addressing all forms of issues that involve environmental pollution. There was only one study done in Florida connecting between children's cancer rates and the environment, done in 2010. And that study is still cited. It's still available. But the professor said to the state, please take a look at these results. And they said, sure, if you just give us your results, we'll share ours with yours as well. So the professor gave them the results, and that was it. It just got gobbled up in the machine, disappeared. And, I just think there's a lot of irresponsibility on the part of our quote unquote leaders. And, we have an election time coming up. It doesn't quite matter so much what side of the politics these people are on, but it does matter what their voting record is and what their environmental record is. And it does matter who put money into their campaigns. So please take a look at their environmental vote records. Please take a look at opensecrets.org. You can check out all the politicians, investors, people that pay for them, the PACs, the super PACs, whoever puts money in, because that once they get there, they have to pay that money back through the course of their time there by passing laws. So we've had this huge disappearance of any form of somebody there to help us, and yet everybody's confident, just assuming somebody's out there watching, but nobody's watching. Sherry says, if we all stand united, their game is over. The people have power. Let us use it. I agree. 100%. We as a group can always change things. We can always make a difference. We are the biggest voice out there. And all we have to do is unify. So often right now, especially with political passion running the way that it does, people are forgetting to unify. People forget that, if you get rid of all that stuff, and none of that stuff matters because, and I apologize if you're into politics, but I don't think it matters because the presidents will change, the vice presidents will change, senators will change, but the people that don't change are the people that are in charge of stuff like the EPA that have disappeared, people like Andrew Wheeler, the coal lobbyist. So that's the cancer of the body politic that we need to really focus on and fight and overturn. And those are the ones we need. Those are the tumors we need to pull out, because other tumors, it doesn't matter, like I said, who you like for president or don't, because whether you like the president or not, they're going to be in and out of office. but these appointees are more important. So remember that the cancer of the body politic is something to really consider. They've just, like I said, the cells that were supposed to be there to protect us have become tumors themselves, and it continues to spread all through local politics, state politics, and federal politics. So, we all need to just navigate the best we can for our kids and our grandkids. Mitch Allen, dumping starts in at 5 minutes 30. Thanks, Mitch. Yeah, I'm going to go check this video out. I don't have a way to play it on here with us. But I just wanted to, once again, say so sorry we weren't able to get Stel on today, everybody. I was so excited to have her on. We did a test before, and everything worked out fine. But again, in the world of live video, you just never quite know what's going to happen next. Camilla says, if you think you're powerless, imagine the power of a mosquito in your bedroom. That's fantastic. Fantastic quote. Excuse me. And I completely agree. Completely agree. Mitch says, our Constitution states, by the people. We can start a by the people movement. And Mitch, I'm a big fan of that. We really need to start knowing that it's us. Look, we're the ones getting sick. We're the ones getting poisoned. Everybody that I've ever spoken to at least has one family member that's gone through cancer. It's really a big problem. And the problem is that the water is not being regulated. I got cancer when I moved to California, and I always wondered why it was California. But now that I see all these PFAS and that it's in all of these, California chemicals, that has a lot to do with what's going on there. Andrea replying to Camilla, true, just struggling now with one. Oh, it's funny. Jeff says, maybe it's time to unify and raise money to sue these people. The state, the EPA, etc. Politicians aren't getting the job done. If we all have a few bucks, it would be a fight. And Jeff, I think that is amazing. That's the way to go. I saw that, I believe the Rights of Nature movement is suing because they recently passed in Florida something that would preempt local home rule, that would preempt the local areas from being able to make laws governing their own environment. And Florida does have home rule. So, which is something Florida is very proud of. And it's something that a lot of states don't have. And a lot of people don't understand that. But, the idea is that the people will have a better concept of what to do on there. And Mitch says, like to invite you to our Rights of Nature movement. I would love to be involved, Mitch. And as a matter of fact, I would love to have you or somebody back on the show, if I can work out this audio bug, to talk about the Rights of Nature movement more in depth, because it's a powerful movement and I want to learn more about it as well. I'm not educated well enough on it to speak, but I do know that they are fighting for the rights and some people will say, well, that's crazy. You can't give a river rights. But if we can give a corporation the same rights as a human, why can't we give a human the right to sue on behalf of a river? We're not saying the Rock is going to go and, file a lawsuit, but we are saying that people do have the right to sue on behalf of nature to keep it preserved. And that's really important. Sherry, yes, we are suing DeSantis. Okay, thank you. I wanted to double check that. Yes, Rights of Nature is suing DeSantis for passing a bill that actually preempts local ability to make laws to save their own environments. You just can't make this kind of stuff up. He's doing the opposite of protecting them. He's actually opening the door for exploitation on a bigger level. Zoom call every Thursday. Oh, Mitch, that's great. Yeah, please send me a link to that if you can send it to my messenger. I will be there next Thursday. That sounds wonderful. I'd love to learn more. Jeff says, yes, DeSatan is trying to get rid of home rule. Exactly. And it's really crazy. I know there was a lot of hope when DeSantis went in. I heard a lot of my friends that work in the water movement hoping that maybe he would find a way to truly, the first thing he was going to do was create a task force to try to fight the algae thing, but they never looked at environmental polluters as factors. So how were they ever really expecting, to solve anything? because they're not regulating, they're not stopping this insane outflow of toxins into the water system. And once the water system gets infected, it goes into the rivers, and then the rivers go down, and everybody that lives on the river, their local municipal water gets drawn from those rivers. And then inside of the municipalities are the power plants that clean the water. And those power plants that clean the water, those use tons of mostly chlorine. Just throw it in and everything's gone. So when I test the water, it always has insanely high levels of chlorine in it to try to just clear and bleach out whatever the problem is, which also is not very healthy. So you've got companies pouring cancer-causing toxins into waters every day, like I said, including arsenic, including, here actually, I will show you guys. I have a little list of it here. Websites. Okay. So what I wanted to show everybody here are this here. Okay, this is from the National Institute of Health, National Cancer Institute. So it's interesting because they list things that are known to cause cancers. And here you can see arsenic, asbestos, benzene, beryllium, cadmium. Again, these are all part of mining extraction. Radon, nickel, heavy metals, wood dust I thought was kind of interesting. I did not know that. Vinyl chloride, formaldehyde, ethylene oxide. So all of these things are known to cause cancers. Now the NRDC, who's a legal group, they have lots of ways to talk about what's at stake. They have a great article on PFAS. I will put that up, but they talk about, one thing you can do is sign petitions, but another thing is to always send interest to your members of Congress, because those people are the ones that can really make the difference. And that's the goal. We have to let people know what we want. And what we want is access to clean water now and forever. We don't want all these chemicals. Let's see. Okay, call me 6, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Perfect. Okay, Zoom call. Yes, Mitch said SB 712. That is the Senate Bill 712 that killed the local power to preserve their own nature, because they're consistently being sold out by the state to both the sugar and to the mining companies that are allowed to basically draw as much water as they want for their processes that are toxic, and then they are allowed to release it all back into the rivers. And then again, it goes down to the rivers, into the schools, into people's water. You drink the water, so you buy a filter for your water faucet, fantastic, but that same water is in your shower. And, your dermis is like, it's alive, and if your pores are open during a hot shower, those toxins have a way of becoming airborne and also entering into your skin. So there's a lot of danger, and people aren't aware of that danger. It's very downplayed. And Jeff says, everyone, there's a waterline break. The PFAS from groundwater gets into the drinking water. Yes, exactly. And that is a huge, every time there's a waterline break, exactly. The PFAS from groundwater gets into the drinking water. Exactly, Jeff. Excellent point. So, they would like to make us think that they have total control over all the toxins from the beginning to the end, but in fact, they don't. And it's obvious they don't, because, for example, Mosaic will have a certain amount of space they have to leave so that the rains won't, they expect the rains to come in and rise the levels of their gyp stacks and other toxins. But I mean, when you have a hurricane come through, how's that not a giant blunder? You got water from rivers flying everywhere. You got waters from ponds and lakes. You got rivers from the gypsum stacks. You got rivers from the slurry pits. You got from all these nasty places, the sugar areas, everything that's toxic, the cyano, not to mention places like Mosaic use cyanobacteria as a natural bioremediation. And if that gets out accidentally, it's a major issue. So that also is going to add to the bloom. Not to, mention that phosphate itself feeds algae blooms, but none of that was looked into by DeSantis. So I think a lot of people lost faith in him very quickly. Hey, there's Stel. She's back. She's in the messages. Thank you, Stel. Thank you. Learn more about the 15 toxins found in drinking water and health effects. Thank you, Stel. Mitch, thank you for that link, Mitch. Waters are all connected. We must have clean water as a right. Absolutely. Bruce Coleman, look up findaspring.com for local spring water. Wow, interesting, Bruce. Thank you. I'm going to check that out. That's the thing is our water, we all need to fight for the water. None of us are exempt from the possible fallout of this happening. If you go on Google and you look at water shortages, the most of the scientists are predicting massive water shortages in the next 50 years if we don't change the course of things. If we keep poisoning what little water resource we have, we are not going to have any water left to drink. And our politicians don't seem to understand that, but we do. Now, that's why it's important people like Stel are out there doing their work, collecting information from people like me that have these cancers the doctors can't figure out. We don't know why. I just went through over 10 surgeries. I've been on multiple experimental drugs, and now I'm on this radiation-y drug. And good news, my tumor is shrinking, but it's a terrible experience. So if we could stop those happening by just demanding companies stop putting one cancer-causing toxic chemical into the water, the public water, that they have asked to get a permit to take all of our public water and then dump it back in with these toxins. And it's all illegal, and that's the problem. It's all legal. That's the problem. Hey, Gina. Hey, thanks for being on, Gina. I haven't seen you in so long. I hope you're doing well. But yeah, so, I'm like, again, I'm really disappointed that we couldn't have Stel on today because, like I said, as another cancer survivor, she took that experience that she had and turned it into wanting to know answers and wanting to find out what's happening and demanding a change. So on behalf of all of us that are still in the weird hybrid cancer group that the doctors still don't fully know how to treat, we all thank everybody out there fighting for us on the front lines every day, trying to figure out what's happening. It's a big thing, and Stel is wonderful. They do water testing. They do facts. They find ways to link with bigger groups, and this is what we need. We need to show these companies that we know the toxins they're putting in are bad. So, so the question is, all right, so we know it's the cancer of the body politic. How do we change that? That's the big question. But listen, we always have to have a call to action because here on the Conservation Conversation, we're all about solutions. As John Lennon said, I tell them there's no problems, only solutions. We have to think that way because it's up to us to look forward to new solutions. Just like the video I did in Romania, where they have the older solutions available. Until we can get the newer solutions available, we're going to be running in the same circles. So how do we do that? Well, what we need to do is we need to look at these structures of government. We have the ability to change them. Again, I bring our attention back to the EPA's Andrew Wheeler, former coal lobbyist and vice president of the National Coal Association in Washington, D.C., now head of the EPA, and he's just self-neutered it since he got in there. That's the danger, is these cancers. So what we need to do are find ways to change those people. Us environmentalists, us conservationists, we should focus on the people that are there to protect us that are not doing that. It's supposed to be a whole series of checks and balances that are meant to stop these polluters from running wild and running free. And right now they have an open exemption ticket. Nobody's watching them. The EPA cited COVID as a reason for not going and doing any of their inspections. But again, it doesn't matter because their inspections are actually self-reported. And I want to bring it one more time back to the fact that Mosaic, which is a mining company in Florida, takes approximately 70 million gallons of water from the local rivers and resources every day, pumps it through toxic processes, and returns it back to the rivers with things like cadmium, barium, radium, arsenic, everything that's cancer causing but they only have to report that their pH level is fine. The only requirement for this company is to report that their pH level is good. That's like the requirement for a fish tank, not watching over an extraction sector or another heavy chemical sector. Cancer Alley in Louisiana is another great example. People there have a 600 times the national average cancer rate, and they are completely unregulated at the moment. This is where we are. We're people, we are paying the price. And I don't mind so much myself, but again, if we're getting kids sick and it's something that we can just easily stop, like we've stopped DDT and lead, and we've stopped all these things. If I feel like if we open our eyes and our minds to pay attention to the new tests that are coming out and the new possible dangers that are coming out through nonstick, through PFAS, through radiation in water, fluoride, which is a highly contested chemical. Fluoride actually very often is not fluoride as we conceive of it. It's actually tends to be what's called hydrofluorosilicic acid, which is a byproduct of mining. So it's so toxic, they're not actually allowed to get rid of it. But what they do is they sell it as fluoride to most of the municipalities all around America. So if your municipal water has fluoride, it's actually just kind of this runoff from the mining process. It's some of the toxic stuff that didn't make it back to the rivers. But, up and down the rivers, people are just getting sick. And like where Stel lives in Florida, the state is ignoring everybody's illnesses. And people like Stel are forcing them to listen. So that's what we need to do. We need to force people to listen, and we need to cut these cancer out of our body politic. We don't have space for it. We don't have time for it. And we certainly can't play with the health of us, our children, or any other future generations. It's just not fair. Gamble their lives for a profit today. Jeff says, big part of the problem for PFAS in Florida is the state refuses to set a safety limit. Without one, everything is safe. Very interesting point, Jeff. That's the same with also their radon levels and their radiation levels. They don't follow the standard guidelines set by the federal government. They actually have changed it up to the highest amount possible, the allowance factor, so that even though it wouldn't be considered safe anywhere else inside of Florida, to continue business as usual, the numbers are designed to change. As an example, with radon, the federal and worldwide actually sets it at 300 picoliters. You find, I think Florida, I believe they allow the up to 10,000 before they consider it a problem, which is not good. And if you know how to do the adjustments, that would be an example of if you had a number 10 radon gas in your home. So the radon that comes through the water, the picoliters, directly corresponds to the number when you're checking out the gas in your radon. So according to Florida, it's actually up to 10. Now, most places say 2 to 3, and you're starting to get toxic. So Florida actually has adjusted, and again, that's part of the cancer of the body politic. It's a really good point, Jeff, because they have adjusted the rules so that what should be illegal is actually business as usual. So, the changes we can make, and again, I'm more excited to talk to Stel about this again, but she goes in and educates legislators. Now, they may not be convinced 100%, but they are on our side and they do work for us, even though they are paid for by major companies. They still, at the end of the day, are going to be voted in or out by us. So if we can find ways to educate them, if we can find ways to speak to these companies in a way that they understand, and it's not going to be from our hearts, because corporations are designed to make profits, and I'm not judging them, but that's their job. They're not out to help people. They're out to make profits, and they have to report to their shareholders or they're going to get fired. So that's their job. That's their game. We need to speak to them in the language they can understand, which is economical. which is either through boycotting or making alternative choices every time you go shopping that show you're not interested in their stuff. For example, when you go in to buy toothpaste, if you buy toothpaste that doesn't have fluoride, it's going to hurt their sales eventually. If you have aluminum in deodorants, aluminum is known to cause over time possible breast cancer increase. So it's a very dangerous thing. So you should be buying deodorant without aluminum. The aluminum allows it to last longer, so it's a convenience thing. Just like plastic, it's a convenience that's killing us. One of the first things you learn about when you have cancer is to stop buying deodorant with aluminum, and stop buying fluoride in your toothpaste as well. So our environment affects us directly, and it affects our health. And the way that we perceive our health affects our environment. Very often we put our health to the side, and it's a background thought. People don't think about it. But when you're in Florida and you're faced every day to fight for clean water, you are very conscious of it all the time. So I want to thank Stel Bailey for being on today. I wish we could have talked more. Stel, I'll send everybody a message real soon. Stel and I will be back together. We've got so much to talk about, and we'll be back within the week to do this again. And thank you everybody for tuning in. Again, I apologize that we had some technical issues today. Mitch has the fracked gas pipeline illegal dumping of drilling slurry. Oh, Mitch, these are great. And even after I finish, please feel free to keep adding links, because the more access we have, the more we can learn. The more we learn, the more educated we are. The more educated we are, the more we can rethink how we have thought. Michelle says it all. Teaching is the key. Many don't know. So true, Michelle. And that brings up another good point, is that when you're fighting these multinational corporations, they send people into this elementary schools and the high schools to brainwash people early on that what they're doing is good. And again, it's problematic because it would be okay if somebody was watching for them, and we all think there's an adult in the room, and there isn't. We are the adult in the room. Sherry, aluminum also builds up in the brain and causes cognitive dysfunction. Wow, that's good. That's interesting, Sherry. I didn't know that. I was treated for this in the 80s. Wow. There you go. Another very important reason to not flex with aluminum. Aluminum is not healthy for our bodies. Coralie, thanks for being on today. Andrea, thank you for being here. And Mulțumesc as well to you. And thank you guys for all being on today. It was a great show. There's so much more to talk about. Please go check out Mitch's links as well. Mitch's links will help show just obvious infractions of what's going on, and the obvious point that the state's looking the other way. How do we solve that? We educate the people, or we vote them out, or we go after people like Andrew Wheeler, and we dislodge these people that are giving the cancer of the body politic and leaving us all to pay the price in the end. Stel, thank you. Always nice to have you on. And Stel, I can't wait to have you back on. And thanks, Michelle. I appreciate it. Thanks, Sherry and Mitch, two extreme water warriors, and a lot of water warriors, actually, I see on this show today. Impressive as always. You guys inspire me to keep going. It's not easy. We have a very big goal. It's a very lofty goal. And, 9 out of 10 times a day, people tell us, what are we doing? But that 1 out of 10 times where you run into another water warrior, or you see something that just makes your soul cry, that changes it, and you're back in the game. We don't really have a choice. We don't want people to go through what we've been going through. And that's why Stel and I are on these missions. It's not a job for me. I don't even really, I don't approach it like a job. For me, this is just about stopping anyone else from having to go through this cancer. It's just a nightmare, and I hope everybody out there is healthy, and I want you and your families to be healthy. And thanks, Bruce. I'm glad you were on again today. Always great to see you on, Bruce. And you're also somebody that's always fighting for a cleaner tomorrow, and I love that. And Sherry says, thanks. More info on how to get involved in the rights of nature movement. Everybody check that link, celdf.org. I'm fascinated. I can't wait to learn more and to get involved in that movement as well, and to get that movement on the show here and to talk more about it also. So, and Mitch, thanks again for being on. Everybody, it was great to have you on. It's great to see everybody. I know things didn't quite go as planned, but it's always fun to get together and talk about things that are out there. And we were going to talk about what's in the water, but instead we talked about cancer in the body politic and how that's giving a lot of us cancer and some solutions to stop it. So everybody have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next week. Remember, it's our world.